Lists aren't just for bullets and numbers. With a bit of CSS styling magic, the standard unordered list can be transformed into a navigation bar, complete with background imagery and interactive states. In this tutorial, we'll show you how to create a horizontal navigation bar. If you want to follow along, please start by opening the file TPA, which can be found in the Lesson 15 folder. Our first step is to position the cursor just before the code div id equals content, and then press enter to create a new line. Now we'll add the first of our containers, the div tag with the ID of nav. Next, inside this we'll create an unordered list, which will include some links to pages in our website. First, we'll add the start unordered list tag. Then inside this, we'll add the first of our list items and wrap a hypertext link around the heading home. Now we'll add the second list item, which points to the planets page. Next, we'll add one more, which will take the site visitors to the flight bookings page. With all the list items and links in place, we can now close the unordered list, followed by the div tag. Now that we have defined the structure for the horizontal menu, we can turn our attention to creating the CSS styles. As always, we will insert the new rules just before the closing style tag. To begin, we will add a selector called div nav. Then, create the CSS code that will be used to style this element. As well as defining the font family, text color, size, width, and margin space, notice also that we've included the overflow property with the value of hidden. This is to ensure that the first level heading, Open for Business, is rendered underneath the menu. Here's what the page would look like if we didn't include the overflow property. Next, we'll create a rule that will style the unordered list that's inside the div container called nav. Here, we are using CSS to control the width, margin space, as well as removing the bullet symbol. Now, we'll style the list items. This CSS rule defines the width of each list item, centers the list items, and since we're creating a horizontal menu, we're also using the float property to float the list items to the left. Again, here's what the menu would look like if we didn't include that float property. Next, we'll create a rule for the default link state. Notice that we've included the block property. This is used to convert the linked text to more of a button-like behavior. Here's what the menu would look like if we didn't include the block property. Finally, we'll create a rule for the interactive hover state. Which in this case will change the text and background color. Now that we've created our horizontal menu, let's test it in Firefox. Here in the browser, you can see the default link state. Moving over the Home button now shows the hover state in action.